Bird Kuhn in the house. Hello.
Howdy.
Howdy.
This is our first time together here.
It's exciting. You stalking me, seeing my Aggie ring.
Observing. It's just like recruiting. I got to observe the situation.
You have to notice
Taking
everything.
all the elements.
So I was loving our conversation before the air that you're friendly with the folks here. You've come many times, so I'm happy to get things started with you.
Oh, yeah. They greeted me with a warm welcome. I miss them. It feels like it had been forever, really.
Right.
Because I wasn't in studio last year. I don't think I came in at all. It was
all Zoom, right?
Yep. It was all on phone, radio, whatever.
So I saw the press release for you guys the other day, and I was excited because I felt like the fact that there's going to be in-person media availability meant all sports are starting to trend in that direction. Obviously, we're hoping things stay as they are. Just how nice is it for you to get back to somewhat normal?
It feels good. We obviously were in a dead period to June, and now we've been on the road, on the go. But the coolest part for me, so we had camp all of July, and it was awesome. It was so good to be together, but with our team. We did a team dinner after camp, and the vibe, it just feels better. It feels normal because they've been able to be around each other. Like, we got to do everything and be in person, and so that vibe alone, and it was just like a simple dinner, casual at my house, but it was so cool to see that and feel their connection. So that's awesome.
So we were talking earlier about you finished your season in March, at the end of March?
End of March, early April, yeah.
Right. And you're back at it this quick because of the weird season that we had last year. Did you like the spring season idea? And without having really a break now?
The hybrid season, the SEC was the only one. We're the only conference that did that. I think it was challenging, and we grew. I think all the programs grew in different ways, learned a lot. I would say I love our athletes, and I appreciate everything they put into it, because to be in season, I think people take for granted, like, yes, we love competing and all that, but like the mental focus and strain and just that, it's a heightened focus no matter what. Like, a spring season is a spring season because you get 4 competitions, you can focus on you and training, but to be in season that long was very impressive. And I'm proud of our conference. I'm proud of our players because, I mean, they did it, and there was a lot of challenges, but I think we all grew from it. So
let's talk a little bit about this year's squad. And if I read correctly, 15 of 19 players are returning?
Yes.
So set it up for me.
Yeah, so we're super excited. The core of our group is back. Camille Connor, our senior setter, 5th-year setter, senior, she's going to be a stud, obviously. She's all in. I think that sets the tone. And you can tell in how they work and prepare in the summer, but just being around each other. That's huge for us, but then even into our junior, sophomore class, and then our new freshmen and a couple transfers that just haven't been live yet for us. We have all the pieces and all the competition, you know what I mean? And just to see them at camp, like just glimpses of them kind of playing or jumping in at camp, it's just fun to see them competing because it's just natural for them. But like I said, that connection that they have, it happens fast because some of our players didn't get here till July, and we have a setter coming in from Turkey, and she's not going to get here till mid-August. So the pieces keep coming together, but the competition and to see them all together is so fun. It's so cool. And
you guys start playing real soon. Is it Baylor in a couple weeks?
We play Baylor in our exhibition on August 20th, and then we go to Hawaii on the 24th.
Why? Why Hawaii? I mean, do you really have to go to Hawaii?
That was on that was on our schedule for 2020, so we basically tried to replicate our 2020 schedule. So yeah.
Yeah, we were actually talking in the back, like, you know what? I think Texas actually should go cover it. I mean, it's what we should do, right?
Send somebody.
Right. You know
who doesn't need to cover that?
I can do Texas radio on a 8-hour delay or whatever it's called there. I would love it. So how, and I assume it is this way for all sports, but to be able to have that kind of trip, how does that like play in recruiting when people are like, you guys are playing in Hawaii? Oh yeah, I'm going. Yeah,
I think it's huge for recruiting, but it's also for us. That's the reason why we were doing it in 2020 too. Starting the season with a trip like that, it's bonding. It's whenever the team goes on the road, I love traveling with the team because you have the opportunity to do either team activities, team events, but you go sightsee. But this trip is obviously longer, and coming off a COVID year and just the new pieces to our team and our program, I'm just excited. It's going to be a great way to start our season.
I was going to say that people sometimes discount that, but when you feel comfortable with the person to your left and to the person to your right, it really changes the way you go into battle.
Yep. And it's the time spent together. You know what I mean? On the road, you're together, you have a roommate, you're with the team, you're doing things as a team. So it is a special time frame And this trip is going to be like 10 to 11 days, because then we're going straight to Cal Poly and playing a midweek match on our way back. So when we sit and talk about that as a wellness crew, that's what I call everybody that works with our team. I mean, we're laying it all out in detail, like even our sleep patterns, all of that stuff, because it is going to be a challenge. I mean, it's going to be a huge challenge, but it's going to be so awesome for us and the growth with this group, because every year is different. Every team is different. So with all these pieces and all the new players, it's just going to be special for us.
I didn't even think about that. Like, you really have to take into account the sleep. Like, all right, guys, the week before we leave, maybe I don't know. Is that how you do it? Like, how do you adjust when you're going on that kind of different time zones, adjust leading up to it?
Those are the conversations we have been having. Whether you adjust before, do you adjust your practices? I think we're just going to work in the time zone we're in and adjust as much as you can once you're there. That's part of the conversation we had yesterday. But as you go and as you are traveling, everyone's different. You know what I mean? Like, every person, every individual is going to have a different response. So we'll just kind of adjust and adapt. That's what I say.
Adjust and adapt. So when you get back to College Station, is there a little bit of like a regroup period before you start going again?
Yeah. So we get back on, I think, a Thursday from playing Cal Poly, and we'll have 2 days off and then kind of start a regular week again. And then we host that third weekend. So we'll be home. So at least we have a little gap of time for them to kind of readjust and then get right back into a regular. But classes start while we're on the road. That was the other thing that we talked about yesterday. Like, classes will start when we're in Hawaii. So
how do you do that? What do you do?
So the professors, they'll get letters and talk to their professors and all of that. And then they'll be online for some extent. But when they get back, we're basically going to try and get their books to them before we leave. And then when they get back, it's like cannonball. Go meet your professors. Yeah.
It's craziness to start the year, but it's the only way to do it. So is there someone on this year's team that you see like this is not only a leader playing, but just that leads by example off the game time?
Obviously, I talked about Camille. She is hands down that person, but Allie Fields, she is coming back from an ACL injury. Our last series against Florida, she tore ACL. She is such an impactful person and player, like just a huge part of this team. And I actually went to some of her rehab yesterday. She's just killing it. And I think her presence, even though she can't play, she was at camp nonstop. She's at their workouts. She's always around those type of players, and people feed off of her. So I think not only are the upperclassmen or some of our younger kids that are going to challenge and compete for positions, it's those X factor players that are making the impact in the program and setting that tone for the culture. I'm biased. I love our whole team.
Yeah.
Like, we have so many pieces that could just blow up this year. It's awesome. But my biggest thing is the vibe I feel when I'm around them, especially after the summer, because being kind of so disconnected and forced to be away from each other, it really did change the dynamics. And it wasn't like a negative thing. It was just, you kind of like miss that. You miss the interactions. And to see them in their element now, it's so fun to see them compete and just be around each other.
This is, I think, an unfair question, but I'll ask. Do you feel that you have become a better coach because of maneuvering through last season?
I think all of us, I just say we've all grown. Better or worse, I mean, you had to make decisions. You have to be able to manage everything that was happening. I think us as a staff, anytime you're going through adversity, you grow. So I think it's always a plus. People have asked, do you wish you would have been shut down during COVID? And I'm like, no. As challenging as it was, I think everyone grew and we all learned so much from it. And it was like, you still came together. Even though you physically couldn't come together, like, even if it was Zoom, you were connecting because you were having conversations and talking and being there for each other. So it was crazy how much it was away from the sport.
So I'm asking everybody who comes by studio their thoughts on the new SEC, and obviously Texas and Oklahoma coming in. Just your thoughts on adding those two programs to the SEC.
Well, I was obviously at Kansas for 7 years before I came here. So there are deeper motivating reasons why I actually love being at A&M. Competing against our in-state, rival. So I was actually texting with one of the assistants as that was all playing out. And we'd already had them on our schedule, fourth weekend. And so I'm excited about it. You know what I mean? Like, I think it makes the conference challenging, all of that. I'm just a different breed when it comes to that competition, but I welcome it.
Do your players understand the gravity of this rivalry?
Yes. I 100% believe they do, especially with Texas, obviously. Oklahoma, I don't know. I mean, we've played them a lot in preseason, so they kind of know that since we've been here. But I think the in-state is going to be the ultimate.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So help set the table for the next 7 to 10 days. How you guys what kind of training is going on here?
So Sunday we report and we'll do all our meetings, our welcome back dinner, gear, all that. And then Monday we go right into two-a-days. So typically we have like a morning practice that's more ball control, low impact, and then we'll kind of ramp it up. But as we get into it, we kind of gauge where they're at. So we'll talk about training. We've been laying out the schedule. Now we're going to really break down how we want to move forward with those two-a-days. But typically it's 3 days on and 2-a-days and then a day off. And we kind of go through that cycle until we feel like physically or mentally they're at a certain place where we might do a team activity, squeeze in a session, or take a session off. So the first 3 days will be training.
Pretty excited?
Yes.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to get back in the gym with them. Like I said, being at camp was, because we didn't have camp last year, but being in camp and being in the gym with them, yeah.
It was the bomb.
We have a special group, so I'm excited to get back in the gym with them.
Well, I'm excited to start covering you guys and being around and having you here in studio from time to time. I'm looking forward to it.
We're going to set up a schedule.
Yes, we are.
I'll be back.
I just yelled into the mic. I don't know if you had the headphone, but I just blew out my ears. So thank you so much for coming, Bird. I appreciate you.
It was great to meet you.
Pleasure meeting you as well.